Intel Core Ultra Panther Lake configurations has been leaked. New Ryzen 7 7800X3 scam has been exposed. AMD Ryzen 5 7600X3D has been released in US. And lastly, more information about the AMD RDNA4 GPUs have emerged, possibly following our RDNA1 lineup. Okay, so firstly we have at review.coreboot.org, we have some information about the Panther Lake CPU configuration. So firstly we have this particular information, which is the types of different SKUs about the Intel Panther Lake power limits, basically Panther Lake core architecture with the TDPs, of course. So as you can see, we have the PTL U4044 15-watt core, which means the TDP is 15 watts for these. And we have the core configuration, which is the 4 performance cores, 0 efficiency cores, and 4 low-powered efficiency cores, and 4 XC 15 watts iGPUs. We also have another SKU, which is 25 watt SKU, which has 4 performance core, 8 efficiency cores, and 4 low-powered efficiency cores, with the most iGPU is coming with this particular model, which is 12 XC 25 watts iGPUs. We also have the 25 watts, another architecture, but this time is the same as the previous one, which is 4 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and 4 LP efficiency cores, but it has lesser XE cores, which is 4 XE cores. And lastly, we have a 45 watt, which is kind of strange because this particular model doesn't come with iGPU, mainly because I think this will be paired with an ARC or NVIDIA or AMD GPUs anyway, so I guess you don't really need iGPUs for these ones. So yeah, this particular model has 45 watts, meaning it's going to be the flagship Panther Lake processor for the laptop, of course, which would be 4 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and 4 LP efficiency cores. Similar as these ones, but having more TDP, meaning it will be clocking even higher, possibly. And as you can see, it literally says TDP 15 watts for 15, 25 watts for 25, and 45 watts for 45. So yeah, that is easier to understand there. So yeah, there will be 4 variants of Panther Lake processors pretty much evident here. So let's see when it do get launched. We'll be seeing some different architecture this time around, because low-powered cores, efficiency cores, of course, are completely a new introduction to these kind of architectures. So we'll see how that works out. And next up, we have some crazy information from DeBauer, of course, and he has basically exposed a huge scam about the 7800X3D. So let's look into it. So DeBauer has got some information about the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D from his particular friend, of course, from Romania, I think. And basically, this particular processor you're looking at is completely fake, which is mind-blowing. I know, because we never thought processors can be faked, but in this case, it's not really a processor, but as you can see, it's basically the IHS that looks like a processor, but not really the CPU itself. It has a bump that feels like it does have the CPU dies, but not really is the case here. You can clearly tell, right? And as you can clearly see, this particular PCB only has the capacitors, but no CPU die. It's just glue, the black glue, that's it, which is crazy. And not only that, this is what the 7800 XT, the genuine CPUs look like. You can clearly see the CPU die here. That is pretty much evident. And not only that, even the capacitors has glues on them. But in the exposed version, the scam CPU, we have just the glue, and literally there is no glue on top of the capacitors. So it should suggest that this is completely fake. And as you can see, this is the IHS that has a bump that looks like from the sideways that it has a CPU, but in reality it doesn't have anything, because it's just nickel plated, which is kind of mind-blowing that they scammed in that way. Like, this is very impressive, very professional way of scamming, I have to say. I highly suggest watching the whole video, because it has the whole explanation about how this particular thing really got exposed, and basically it doesn't really work at all, because there is no CPU to be even detected by the motherboard. So that is quite hilarious that someone took that much effort to making this scam a completely real, look like a completely real processor. So very much impressive, but not really, because it's still a scam. So yeah, interesting. Who would have thought that CPUs can be scammed like that? When you really take a lot of effort in scamming, then maybe yes, you can scam things. And next up, we have some information about Tom's hardware, and basically AMD is launching their Ryzen 5 7600X3D, and this particular processor, of course, their AMD Ryzen 5 7600X3D has been launched already. As you can see, you can buy that, but but there's one problem. It's only bundled with Micro Center. So in this particular bundle, you have the AMD Ryzen 7, it says, but obviously that's wrong, which is going to be Ryzen 5 7600X3D coming at a retail price of $299. So as expected, this is going to be, price $300. So it kind of makes sense. And then bundling with an Asus TUF Gaming B650 plus Wi-Fi and a 32 gigs of DDR5 600 mega transfer speed memory, which is 109.99, and of course the motherboard is 219. So in total you can get 629.97, but there's a special price, I guess, which is the 449.99. So a special price has been given for this bundle, but in total it should cost 629.97. So it is a good deal, definitely, but you cannot get this particular processor and anywhere else, and it's OEM only, which is Micro Center. This particular CPU was basically leaked before. This information was leaked by Hongyan Fu, and the information was early September. So yeah, it's already the September 1st, and we're already getting this particular processor. So clearly this leak was accurate. So yeah, this processor will be released soon, or has already been released, but the problem is you can't get this without the bundle, and it's only Micro Center exclusive. So not really that great. I don't know why AMD does that, but they shouldn't make these processors exclusive rather than DIY. It should be available in the DIY market, because a lot of people would want some flavor of X3D in the budget range. So unfortunate. And lastly, we have some great information coming from Everest, and it says Navi 44XL. So as you can see here, we have some information that has been leaked. It says Navi 44XL. So right now we only know 3 Navi series of GPUs, which are of course the 8800 XT, which is the Navi 48 XTX, and then this 8700 XT, which is the Navi 48 XT, 8600 XT, which is gonna be the Navi 44 XT. Again, this is allegedly, not sure if that would be the case. And now we have the Navi 44 XL. So is it gonna be the 8600 non-XT? No idea. And the predicted specs we're looking at is 8 gigs of G6 128-bit bus with a memory speed of 18 Gbps and infinite cache of 48 megabytes, which is probably what's gonna be happening here in terms of specs. So we'll see if that is the case, but that is more likely. Not only that, in the Weibo forum, we got these information that is quite interesting. As you can see, the user Golden Pick Upgrade Pack says here is that RDNA4 positioning is similar to RDNA1. So what we're understanding here is that RDNA1 architecture had the flagship was 5700 XT. That was the top of the line GPU, which is kind of confusing to me, because if it's the same as RDNA1, that would mean the flagship of RDNA4 would be 8700 XT, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would that be the case, right? Because if you remember, this is what Navi RDNA1 looked like, which is the Navi 10, which only had X700 class, which has being the top of the line GPU, no 800 or 900 class. So that would mean that Navi 48 would also be matching the Navi 10 in terms of having classes, which is going to be the top of the line X700 class, and then 600, 500, 400, and probably 300. We'll see about that. But yeah, it's quite weird. Are they going to go and with the naming scheme of, I don't know, 8700 XT? Is it really a good look? And if that is the case, will it perform like the 5070? Because they're going to be competing with the 5000 series of the RTX series of 5000 series from Nvidia. So yeah, I mean, if that would be the case, I don't know what they're going to do, but we already know there is not going to be any top of the line 900 series of cards. But I would be very much surprised that they're not going to be bringing in the 800 class. That is going to be the biggest shock of the year, definitely. So again, it says that the flagship performance does not need to be too expected, and the core is cost reduction. It would also be a good thing if Navi 44 could bring up the performance of the mid-end desert card. Otherwise, Lao Hong would take 8107 when 4060 sold. It will become the norm in the future. So according to the user, this is a good thing. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyways, as long as the performance is good and it competes like, the 5070 or even like 5080, then that would be a big game changer Definitely, because we already know they're not going to be competing with the 5090. Definitely not. So if that is the case, will there be any RX 8800 XT if it's going to match the RDNA1, right? So is it going to be the 8700 XT and then 8600 XT and then 8600, 8700 non-XT, or even 8500 XT? We'll see about that, definitely. But for now, these are all the information that we can get. I'm hoping that they're gonna bring in an 8800 XT that will compete directly with the 5080, but we'll see about that.